continuing.
Hey, this is Nomad, host and creator of the Career Musician Podcast. Why do they call me Nomad? Well, I traveled the globe, spreading the joy of music one song at a time. And now I bring you wisdom, tried and true knowledge, and life experiences of my colleagues and peers in this crazy business we call music. Rodney Alejandro, the governor of the Recording Academy, is our guest on this episode of the Career Musician Podcast.
This is the Career Musician Podcast with your host, Nomad.
Okay, Rodney Alejandro, let's lead with the Recording Academy, a.k.a. the Grammys, right? He's on the board. He's got a little plaque that says Governor. Rodney has also been the music director, keyboard player for the band The Script. Does anybody remember the show The Shield, a TV show, back in the early 2000s all the way through 2008? Well, he wrote the theme song. So if you look at his IMDb, it's like 3 pages long of all the songs that were in the show. And guess what? The theme song is in every freaking episode. We all love the mailbox money. Let's listen to Rodney tell us about that and so much more of his illustrative career right here. And with that, we welcome Rodney Alejandro to Nomad's Place.
Cheers. Thank you for having
an
me.
episode. Absolutely, man. So tell us about your background, though.
So I actually lived in the barrio in Houston, but I went to school in the ghetto. None of that made sense to me until I was older.
Until later on.
And not because of my parental heritage, but just that's the music school in Houston's magnet program was in the ghetto.
Right.
And we lived in the barrio. So during the day and, those little hours after school, I'm mixing it up with, in the hip hop hood.
Yeah.
Fifth Ward in Houston. And then in the nights and weekends, I'm in my hood, Magnolia, which is the predominantly Latin community. And hearing, salsa, mariachi, and all that stuff going down the street. Where during the day I'm hearing the beginnings of what was hip hop back in the days.
It's the best of both worlds,
yeah.
Literally.
So that was pounding my eardrums growing up,
So that would be fair to say that informed everything you've done. That was the foundation.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, on top of studying classical violin.
Now, see, that's the best of 3 worlds. Wow.
So I started when I was going to school.
Played violin, bro.
When I went to school, the music school. That's what the only smallest instrument you could learn was violin. So you get this little quarter-size violin when you're tiny to start learning the Suzuki method.
Sure.
So first grade, I've been going through magnet music school, and violin was my first instrument. Trumpet, I was allowed, if I kept my grades up, to take a second instrument, which is trumpet. Wow. In third grade. So from there, we went to junior high, which was another arts magnet school in Houston, where I played in the jazz ensemble and the orchestra, the string orchestra. And the jazz ensemble, that in my 7th grade year, we recorded an album because we were the top junior high jazz ensemble in the nation. So the district funded us to record an album. That's where I fell in love with production. And going, I don't know what this is called, but I want to do it.
But it's cool.
Yeah. To play, we'd play, and then they'd let us hear it back in the control room. Yeah. And, we were playing live as a big band, I still have the album. It's on vinyl. It's awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Man.
And so that was where I fell in love with production and, set out to learn what it was.
Did you digitalize that album?
I have not digitalized that. It was a good one.
You might want to do that because I could use it to score some of this. That would be so cool. Wow.
Very cool. So
that's neat.
That's the background. Classical. And then in the jazz ensemble, obviously, was jazz. And then orchestra was obviously the classics and all this other stuff.
So you were playing violin.
And trumpet.
Yeah. And then, but what led you to keys and piano?
Very good. In high school, I decided I wanted to arrange, when I was learning what this production thing was, and I started researching back then in the 80s what that is and what skills you needed to have, piano was a good instrument to learn to write and arrange. So I just kind of had went to my band director and said, I was in the top jazz ensemble. We had 2 jazz ensembles. 1 and 2, and I played trumpet in the 1. And I said, I'm not going to play trumpet unless I play piano in the second one. He goes, well, you ain't never had a piano lesson in your life. I said, I don't care. I want to play piano.
Wow.
I want to play piano because I want to learn how to arrange and I want to know how to write.
Yeah.
So we fought it out. And finally, he's like, got tired of me complaining about it. And he, all right, then go. He put the chart in front of me and told me to go. Needless to say, I fell flat on my face.
Yeah, a jazz piano chart, that's not something you could just, whip up.
Not being a quitter.
You work for it.
I said, all right, I'll be back. So after that first semester, the next semester, I went in and actually played the part. I learned it on my own fingerings, my own everything. And he just basically let me do it because he at least saw that I was a fighter, And that's how I taught myself keyboards. I didn't have my first lesson until I was about 23. And that was, mind you, that was about 16 when I started.
So you just dove in and said, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Now, when you got to piano, did you stay there, or were you still doing? So now you're playing 3 instruments simultaneously.
Yeah.
So that's why you're such a good producer, because you have all of these backgrounds.
Helped, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
that's pretty cool.
In high school, my senior year, I started a band. And that was the other thing. You can't play violin or trumpet in a band, really, can you? I would have loved to
unless
learn
you're Dave
guitar.
Matthews, and then that
wasn't cool back then.
Not back then. It took a long time for that to come around.
Yeah, everything was either classical or avant jazz, like your Jean-Luc Ponty's or whatever. And that just wasn't. That wasn't part of my culture. If I'm in the body or in the ghetto,
no.
You know what I'm saying? So it was bass drums, guitar,
Van
keyboards.
Halen. Van Halen was killing in the 80s.
Yeah.
Duran Duran, Exactly. So that's a great question. Who were some of your influences in the 80s?
You mentioned Duran Duran.
Yeah.
Nick Rhodes.
Because
during that time, he was really experimenting with synthesizers. Prince. 100%.
Huge.
Jam and Lewis. How their sequencing was becoming a big thing. Michael Boddicker, he used to do all the programming for MJ. Greg Philligaines.
Yeah.
These guys. I was stealing as much records as I could find just to hear their skills, So in high school, I started a band, and the summer before my senior year, I saved all my summer money to buy my first synthesizer.
Nice.
Right? So I bought this monstrous thing. My mom killed me because, I'm supposed to help the family out with school clothes and all that. That money wasn't coming home. It was going to the music store. Anyway, I had this big old thing. Didn't know what the hell it was. Didn't know what
was it? Do you remember that?
It was a brand called Seal, Siel. It doesn't exist, but it was around then.
I've never even heard of that one.
And had a bunch of knobs and just whatever.
Yeah.
And that's just dove in, taught myself until, at least when it came to keyboards, the learning to read music through trumpet and violin helped me read music on the piano.
Right.
But the synthesis stuff was just reading books, finding books I could read, and trying to figure out what it's supposed to do. I've been sequencing for live shows since 1986, and using the tricks. There was no reverb in keyboards, right? So what I would do is I'd use a string sound or a synth sign that had a decay and layer it with the top note. I'd layer the arrangement with the top note of that key, of that sound, so it sounded like a reverb.
Wow.
Right?
Smart.
So there was all kind of little tricks.
So you're layering patches and you're doing all this
just to create the ambience or the pad, and back then keyboards were only like 8 voice if you're lucky.
Right.
So I would resample as well. I'd create a big stack of sound with and Sonic, a few keyboards that I had. The Seal keyboard, I'd create a big stack and sample that into the Emacs.
Wow.
So then I could create a layered sound and still using one voice.
So it's basically the MIDI equivalent of overdubbing and bouncing.
Correct.
Remember how on the Tascam, 4 tracks, we would keep bouncing? So you're doing the MIDI equivalent of that.
Mm-hmm. But all these parts, I could integrate them because I really understood the guts of the beginnings of that stuff. So I made part of my tool chest as live performance. Again, performing with MIDI going all over the damn place. Wow. It was hard enough back then. It's hard enough now with audio. But then, sometimes you had to do tape backup because there wasn't anything fast. Like now, you got a hard drive with, gigs and gigs of shit.
Right.
Back then, it was... and it was on a tape machine. So we do half our show, and we take an intermission, reload the keyboards with a tape machine.
Now, with the tape backups, what was
Yeah.
that? Who made the, or do you...
Well, like in Sonic at the time,
Okay.
who made, they had a sampler and a keyboard called an ESQ1 and various other ones.
I remember the ESQ.
They would save the sequencer data in those via tape.
Via tape.
So it would be like all this scratchy on the tape.
And that's the digital information
That would-
for
yeah.
that would trigger
Now,
the samples. And,
If anything happened to that tape, you were
you're
fucked.
done. Yeah.
Which happened before. We
Really?
set up a concert for a label and producers and the whole bit. We did the first half, it was amazing. Went to load the show for the second half, it wouldn't load. It was all error. So the second half of the show was a bomb. Because it just failed. You know what I mean? And
So
we
you
had
lost
tested it.
all
We
your
had tested it,
samples
tested
and
it,
triggers.
tested it. You know, it was just, everything was lost. So we did the show live anyway. We just
Yeah.
didn't have all the bells and whistles
All
that
the-
we were working with.
Sounds different, to
Yeah.
say the least.
So that's the early start, and that's why I've been in that side of the game.
Wow.
And then I didn't go to college till I was 22. My first lesson in piano.
So you were still in Houston at
Mm-hmm.
that time. And then college, where did you go? What did you end
I
up
actually,
doing?
I had a band, and we were signed to
that's
BMG as an artist. This band I'm telling you about with all the sequencing. and
Oh,
shit.
wow.
We signed to BMG, did a big record, did it here in LA, great guys, the whole bit. Then, you know, as projects do, just didn't go anywhere, and so decided, well, I better go to college, start building the war chest of idea, you know, what I'm going to do next. So I just walked into the local junior college and said, I want to come to school here and study music, what should I do?
Yeah.
And the guy just looked at me and says, well, you go over there and row, you pay your semester's fee, and then you can start studying. And that's what I did.
Smart.
And after the first semester, the school ended up paying my entire ride.
Because they realized what a gem they had.
Well, I was getting into it. I was
Yeah.
like there for business.
Well, you were a gem.
So then I took my first piano lesson. The woman goes, where did you learn? I said, on my own. She goes, oh, man. You know, there's kids that have started since the womb to be playing, and you're trying to compete with them? I say, hey, it's okay. Come on. Bring it on.
Yeah, but they were in a different aspect.
Yeah, different aspect. Yeah. Started studying and picking up those legit skills. Music changed for me. Well, I finished there and then went to Berkeley.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
In Boston?
Yeah, auditioned for Berkeley. Didn't make it as a musician, but I made it as a composer and arranger.
Nice.
Which is fine because that's really was my goal. I wanted to know how to compose, arrange, to produce. And then they offered a program that does production skills. So back then it was all analog production skills. So I took that course. So I left Berkeley with a dual degree with music production and engineering and composition and arranging.
First of all, you graduated Berkeley?
Absolutely.
Got to give you a loud high five on that one.
Summa cum laude, bro.
A lot of cats don't graduate.
I was going to finish. I'm going to go spend that money and not finish.
Right. Good. That's amazing. I'm one of them. I didn't graduate.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now, wow. Now I want to ask you a question because this is one of the things that I always harp on. I'm all about making decisions and being decisive at the beginning of your career is going to save you many years in the latter part of your career. I was indecisive. I knew I could sing and write songs, but I always kept it under. I just pushed it down. I was like, oh, nobody wants to hear me sing and write my songs. Had I really pursued that, I could perhaps already be the artist that I've always dreamt of being by now. Right? So that's a decision that I did not make. You made a decision. You said, well, I don't want to be the fancy bebop guy or the next Vladimir Horowitz or whatever. I want to be composition, arranging, production. You made that decision.
Correct.
You're talking, you were 22, 21, 22, 23?
Yeah, 22,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's a decision that you made early on, and it served you well, correct?
I think so. Not
Okay.
knowing then. I just
Okay.
knew what I wanted to do. That's it. I guess because I tried the artist thing young, right? And we were signed when I was 20 as an artist in a band. And yeah, it was fun. It was cool. We had our band. We had our following. We had the whole bit. But I really got off not on those accolades. I was more like, I want to play. I want to make all kinds of music.
You want to create stuff.
Yeah, and I want to make a living at it.
Right.
I went to Berkeley to learn. They even told me when I enrolled, I said, I want to be able to produce records and write songs when I leave here.
Right.
Well, we don't offer a program like that. You can either take one of these two. And well, can I take both?
Right.
That because I wanted to know how to speak the technical language, and I wanted to know how to speak creative language. The more you can bridge those
They're
two
synonymous,
worlds,
kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
and understand and have a full understanding of both of those languages.
Ooh.
You know, how do I talk to an engineer who's just totally technical? How do I talk to a songwriter artist who's totally creative, and I'm on the other side?
Knows nothing about EQ shelving or
Yeah, they don't, you know?
like whatever.
Even though they
just do your
should
job.
know,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's where the gold comes, I think, for guys who are willing to pursue that diversity, to have that diverse palette, so to speak.
Right.
To be able to work with engineers, make those decisions with creative people. You know, that's what Berklee helped me.
Which just ties us back to that point a few minutes ago.
Make a decision.
So many hats. Well, make a decision, but so many hats we have to wear.
Yeah, true.
So, and if you can do it successfully, what you have, that's impressive.
Right.
So, as I look at guys like you, I used to call myself a non-tech guy. Oh, I don't like that tech shit. No. I'll just hire a guy to program it for me. I'll hire blah, blah, blah. And then past 10 years, I'm like, no. I can't survive like that. No, past 15 or more years. You can't survive like that. You have to learn the tech language. You have to. Especially now with the home studio is literally your laptop. Mm-hmm. So the home studio is on the plane, it's on the train, it's in the backseat of a car, it's everywhere you go. It's in your backpack.
It's synonymous with the way we grew up. You learn styles of music. Why? So you can plug yourself into that.
Right.
And have that opportunity. Nowadays, if you're not paying attention to the technical side, you're not keeping up with where music is going or how it's changing.
Dinosaur.
Yeah. And so they'll go get the next guy because the skills required in the industry, the more skills you have, the better. But again, with the manipulation capabilities now in computers, do you have to be that great? And that's a question. If you're that great and you can knock it out, great. But chances are there's guys sitting in the bedroom got more time than money and can sit there and practice until they get it right and then quantize the shit out of it and
finesse it
the DAW until it's good enough.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that's right.
Right.
I'm just saying it for a person who doesn't accept the changes and be technical and be creative and bring all that into one wheelhouse, they will find themselves being left out.
It would not behoove them.
As time progresses.
Right.
Yeah.
As they say, what you just described, fix it in post, basically.
Yeah, basically. Or fix it in the mix, what they used to say.
Fix it in the mix, right. TV world is post.
So but I think that's helped keep me alive and going in the business.
Wow. So these concepts that you learned, some aware, some unaware at the time, this is how you developed your methods and the principles that you still adhere to this day.
Absolutely. It's staying diverse, remain a student.
Say that one again, bro.
Remain a student.
Everybody needs to hear that.
Even when you're the boss, remain a student.
That's right. Oh, man.
Learn from the people, like with working with you, right? I know I'm not a guitar player, so you already got me there, right? So it's not about one better than the other, but just your musicality and your experiences.
Right.
I want to be open for that to inspire something.
Right.
Because we're all going for magic, right? So you might say something, you might play something. Wow, what'd you do there? Or how'd you do that? Or experience is always more valuable. If you can remain a student, add more value to your wheelhouse, your skill set.
Yeah.
And remain diverse, then you have a good shot of staying busy in this ever-changing industry that's becoming more and more difficult.
And that's a nice little package of wisdom right there for aspiring career musicians.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Hey, boast a little bit of your resume credits. Who have you worked with?
Yeah, good. Recently, The Script.
The Script, huge.
UK, was touring with them for a long time, right? Helped a young artist get started in Australia named Joe Moore.
Okay.
A young artist in the UK named Sarah Close. Other than that, from on this side of the world, we got Raven. Yeah. I love my girl Raven.
Everybody is so Raven. Yeah. That's
but
so
the
Raven.
Temptations, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Sting, Eric Clapton, Lauryn Hill, Will.i.am.
So nobody really big.
Nobody big, really. Latin world, Paulina Rubio, Olga Tañón.
Oh, wow, that's right. Forgot about the Latin world.
Selena when she was around. That was
Selena.
some of my starting sessions were with her back in the days.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
So just
the whole gamut.
A lucky guy.
Yeah.
Totally. I said the good man upstairs.
Hey man, I concur with that. I agree with that. Yeah.
It's I like to think I'm a badass, but in the end, it's just the doors open for me at different times, at different places, and just took the shot. You know, I got more no's than yeses though, but still have some decent credits.
Yeah, that came up in conversation earlier, and that's the truth. We were talking about the love of the art and the love of the game. If you might interject on that, the psychology of the game.
It's the music business.
Right.
The music is the art. The business is the game. Right? So you can't just learn music.
Well put.
You ain't gonna have no business. You just can't learn business. You just gonna have no music.
Then you'll just be the suit and you won't be the creative guy.
Wishing you were that guy, or the other guy, or the creative guy. So music business, I think, to be successful, and this probably is for any business, you really have to understand what it all is. You know, whether it's sales, whether it's research and development, whether it's brand development, whether it's business development. That's all business terms.
It's all of those are in our business.
It's all of it is in our business. You know, and then how do you be just creative? You know,
it's so much.
Know when each hat is on. So you have to have a mastery of both in order to be successful. Because if not, then if you're all art, then your game's gonna be taken advantage of. If you're all game, you might not create anything artistically that gives you anything of longevity if you're in this for the love. So the love of the game is, you're gonna get screwed. For every kid starting out, you're gonna get jacked. Get in fucking line.
No lube. Enjoy.
That's it. And I said that. I remember saying that to myself when I first moved to LA. I'm just gonna get in line. Why?
That's a good phrase.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get in line because there's a million cats out here going for the same thing, right? So I'm gonna get in line. I'm gonna be patient, work on my skills, be ready, right? I already know I'm gonna be told no a million times. I already know this. That's already. I'm prepared. Proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? So
I love that.
I'm gonna be prepared because someone's gonna tell me yes. I'm gonna get a million no's. Someone's gonna tell me yes. When they tell me yes, I'm gonna run like a mofo and get it right? So I get in line. So my first cuts were like 10%, 15%. Started growing until I was 50-50.
Now, when you say cuts, you mean songwriter splits.
Songwriter splits, because I was, being thrown in a room with people with more seniority.
Right.
Even though I may have done more to work, but hey, 10% is better than no percent.
Yeah.
And it slowly moved up to where I was just doing co-writes, 50-50, with an artist. Right. Doing the full production. So I got in line.
That's cool.
So that was the business side of me, right? That was the love of the game, knowing what was going to happen, speaking to other cats, getting the opportunity to just take bits and pieces of information from cats at that time where there's no internet, to say just get in line and wait. And then on the art side, the love of the art was just always working on my skills, the songwriting, the arranging, sampling was coming out big, learning how to sample and recreate things. And, as technology was changing, how do I learn that, so that when that call comes on the love of the game side, I'm ready on the love of the art side. And I starved, don't get me wrong, bro. It's not like, I had a trust fund to lean on. I had to bust ass to make the ends meet.
Okay, we got the Grammys. We got the theme song for The Shield on TV from 2002 to 2008. And then we have the script, like one of my favorite pop rock bands of the past several decades. That's right, Rodney has been their music director, producer, co-writer, and such on the road with them. Again, what's the theme here that we see, folks? We wear many hats as career musicians. Versatility is key. But most of all, we have to figure out how to set ourselves up so that we have future income. And I love listening to Rodney talk about songwriting and publishing and how he's gotten into that game. But I also love all his other insights, from touring the globe with the script to working with several Latin artists and being on the Latin Grammy board on a regular basis and getting his hands dirty, really getting involved with the Recording Academy.
If you've enjoyed today's interview, please subscribe to the Career Musician Podcast and leave a review.
I was just going to ask you about time management.
Yeah.
With all the different hats we wear, in the tech world, in the creative world, and in the business world, because really, I guess you could distill it down to three elements, right? It's like, tech, creative, business. Not in any order, but those are the three things we have to do. Is there a particular schedule you try to adhere to? Or do you literally allow your mood dictate what you're going to do next?
I try not to allow the mood because our moods are finicky.
I so agree with that. Thank you. And discipline is not built on mood.
No. Today I feel like it, today I don't. What you think you're going to get done? You know?
Not much.
I think that's why I love the arts in general. You can't cram for the opportunity.
You can't.
Right?
10,000 hours is mandatory.
Unfortunately, you got to put that in first.
It just doesn't happen without it, right?
Yeah, and then the call comes, you got to be ready.
Yeah, right.
But you can't say, "Oh man, I got a call tomorrow for a gig. Oh, how do I figure out how to program that? Oh man, what I need to know about fucking Afro-Cuban mixed with Japanese,
right.
whatever. You can't. That's too late.
Right. It's gone by, right?
So if you're not preparing to that point, and that's where time management comes in, you have to be again. I'm being a student,
right.
Using your time absolutely wisely. We all got to survive.
Right.
So if it's work in the morning, then you got to carve out your time at night. If it's
right.
work at night, you carve out your time in the day. Sleep, you can sleep when you're old.
That's what I would say. Sleep when you're dead.
Yeah. So at this point, it's try to set a schedule. The more disciplined you can be about your creative time, the more creative you're going to be. Even when you don't feel like it. That's what I learned to do. I realized that I work best getting in the morning. And I've heard all kinds of different time management skills.
Yeah, I'd love to hear
Some people
yours,
are creative right when they get up in the morning and have
Yeah.
fresh ideas before they get into work.
Yeah.
Where, to me, I like shit out of the way.
Okay.
Right? So if I know I have calls to make, I know I have to take my girls to school, or I know I have to do something that is not creative, I like to get it out of the way.
Sure.
That way, when I can sit down and be creative, I'm not thinking about, oh man, I'm going to start this amazing idea, then all of a sudden I got to leave.
You got this to-do list of...
Yeah. So I kind of discipline myself to take care of everything I need to take care of in the morning. And if I needed more time, just get up earlier. Because by 1 o'clock, I want to be rolling.
So 1 o'clock starts your creative hour.
Yeah.
Your creative
I want to have my day done. And if people are banging out emails to me, they're waiting till the next day to get done. That's the other hard part.
Now, I was just going to ask you that. Thank you. And especially nowadays with phones, tablets, laptops, and you get the little dings, ping, ping, ping. I turn that shit off, right? Yeah. Turn all the alarms and notifications off.
Yeah.
So do you struggle with not answering some of those?
Yes, because I still know that some things are pressing.
Especially on the management side, sometimes they need to know now.
But you also need a break in creative world, right?
Okay. So how do you handle that?
If I take a break in the creative world, I'll check the list of what's come in.
Okay.
And just be disciplined and go, that shit can wait till tomorrow.
Right.
Not to procrastinate, but just say, I don't want to put time into that because it's going to take me away from my main goal, which is creating opportunity by being creative.
Right.
So then, or I said, you know what? I know that I can answer that tonight when I'm ready to get to bed and I'm just ending my day. I can answer a lot of this stuff, leave it out, they'll get it in the morning. They may answer me by the time I even get up in the morning. And then we're back on it, and by 1 o'clock, it's done.
Nomad here with the Career Musician Podcast. Thank you for listening. I wanted to tell you about #AskNomad to ask me any music-related questions, and I will respond usually within 24 to 48 hours. Again, that's #AskNomad. Ask me anything you'd like about the music biz, about your instrument, about practicing, about music theory, anything at all that has to do with music, and I will answer your questions, share, repost, and put it out there for all of the Career Musician Podcast family to see and hear. Thank you so much for listening. This is Nomad, and remember to use #AskNomad.
Leave a review and subscribe to the Career Musician Podcast.
The music was running so quickly. He's like, oh, I need this track, I need this track. So,
Funny you mention that because part of time management, now that if you can allocate time to be creative, then you need to figure out how to maximize the time.
Thank you. That's the golden word.
So you were saying right now, you don't know when the music is striking and how long or whatever. You have to know in your time that you set aside, how long is creative time?
Yes.
How long is now pre-production time or production time or mix time or whatever time? Because when you're trying to produce, arrange, and mix while you're writing or creating, well, you're fucking up.
Yeah.
You're not getting the whole picture yet. So you're already taking yourself out of the game before it's even over.
I think a lot of that is going on in the industry today.
I think so too. Let the download finish.
The download finish. Well, it's like you and I were talking, I think last year, I had you over to the studio and I was saying that I want you to produce some stuff for Nomad and Lola, and you said, you know what, man, just give me guitar vocal demos, and that's it. And for some reason, Rod, it was like, wow, I never thought of that. I was like, that's so stupid. I'm a guitar player, singer, songwriter. Why would I? Of course, that's the logical place to start. Why we think that we don't have to do that anymore, or you know what happens to me? I think that I have to do more.
Right.
I think I have to produce this amazing demo. Well, then it's not a demo. Then
Correct.
it's a master.
Record.
Yeah, then it's a full record. So what do you?
And in doing that, we're losing sight of what we're really trying to do. In fairness, we're cheating ourselves.
Yes.
Because we're trying to do it all. That's the first problem.
And that comes from the mini hat deal.
The mini hat deal. That's the discipline, also the mini hat deal.
Yes, the discipline, but also I believe that's the self-awareness of knowing, look, it's why you called me. I know Nomad's going to kill these guitar parts with all of his knowledge. I know Rodney, I'm going to kill all this keyboard stuff with my knowledge, and then I can zoom, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you weren't trying to mix while you were tracking.
No.
You weren't even really producing while you were tracking.
I wasn't even in the control room.
You were just tracking with us.
Yeah.
You were like, all right, guys, let's take this next song and see what happens. And then at the end of the day, you would step out, and then you would kind of produce some things.
To change the hat.
Change, because you have to.
Biggest thing, when you really size this down and make it really layman terms, good enough is the enemy of great. Not bad. Good enough.
Good enough.
Because we can sit there and create, oh man, that's good enough. Now let's move on to the next thing. You just cheated yourself out of the opportunity at great. Why? Because it was good enough. Right? So when we did those sessions, my whole theory was, let's just play as a band. Let's play these new songs as a band. You know, let's use our skills. Let's use our connections. Let's use, everything we got to just play this down. Then we'll go in and listen as listeners.
As listeners.
We ain't trying to be analytical and jury and the judge and everything while we're trying to play. The moment's gone, and you've lost the moment of giving it everything you have in that particular moment. So now we're doing it again anyway. So because why? You could tell you lost focus. Right. So it's you do have to wear many hats. The next important thing is to know which hat to wear at what time.
What time?
There's nothing wrong with working better. I believe I try to work with every musician who's 100 times better than me.
Right.
I know my strength. My strength is being able to pull performances from people.
Right.
Whether they're talented, amazing talent, or have a limited talent.
Right.
I know that's my goal. That's why I all wanted to study production. I want to study arranging and writing. So I can see somebody and go, you don't even know music. They don't know how to write, read, or anything. But can you play me this part and maybe sing it to them, maybe help them figure it out and speak in their terms. So pulling a performance out. That's, I feel, part of my goal, whether it's live or in the studio. I do a project and it's accepted and we win. We move on to the next one.
Bam.
Right? My ego is going to...
That's so smart.
If my ego says, no, you can do it on your own. Do it all by yourself. The ones I tried that way didn't go anywhere.
Wow. See that?
I missed something.
Yeah, it backfires.
Yeah, absolutely. I might as well own it and work with great talent. That's the fun of music. When you work with other people.
When you collaborate.
Yeah.
I also feel that we're missing the collaborative experience.
100%.
We don't have that anymore. I mean, we do, but not as in depth.
What's funny is I did a couple of things last year online. So I met some cats. They sent me the tracks while I was in London.
Sure.
I laid down layers and layers of stuff because I said, I'll just take a day, lay down roads, lay down an organ, lay down this, that. Take a pick.
Let them sift through it.
Yeah. Send it back to them. They sifted through it. Maybe they liked it, maybe they didn't. Send it back. But the point was we were still trying to be collaborative. Right? And at a distance. And I thought the internet would create more collaborative effort in that way. But it seems people have become too... no, this is my deal. This
is mine.
And I'm going, now we're losing the point. Because I remember the days hanging out at the studios here in Burbank. And I'd fall up on a project. Just happen to walk in the door and someone needed something. I'm here, let's do it. Boom, and we knock it out.
How cool
whether it was a small little track for Boys to Men, whether Pink was in the other room and I'm just laying an unknown little part, or threw a little idea out, and it built another relationship.
How cool is that?
That was cool then. Where now, online, it's just, everything is so... segmented. Instead of going, you know what, send me that. And I do tell people this. Send me unique keyword parts. Send them to me.
Send it, right.
I work with your budget because if I can do it on my time in my studio, then I'll work with you.
Conducive, right?
Actually, if you need me to be somewhere, well then obviously there's other things that are required for that to happen. But if I can do it in my place at a time, giving me a fair amount of time to do it, yeah, I work with you in the budget, but it gives me also time to give you different ideas, give you what you want, plus different ideas. And we're collaborating again. Because on the same project I'm telling you about, I sent it back to the guy, and he goes, yeah, I like what you play, but I don't think it fits for what I was hearing. I said, well, then what were you hearing? Because you didn't give me a roadmap, really. He goes, yeah, because I just wanted to see what you came up with. So I went way left, and he was looking for something way right. But he goes, well, can we do it again, and can you do these parts and pick up this thing there?
Well, therein lies the little issue with collaborating from afar. Then, yeah, it's better to collaborate in the room. A great example. I'm working on something now where this guy is Brazilian. He's from Brazil, and he goes, "No, man, you can play these guitar parts in your sleep." And I said, "You know what? I think it would be better if you just come to the studio, so that way I know exactly. I could see you. You show me physically in person
to not lose that connection and work really." And stay busy,
It's true.
You got to be open to other ideas,
We have to, and for years it's been going like that.
Yeah.
Hey, not to switch lanes so quick,
switch
but
lanes, that's what we do.
Etiquette. There's two types of etiquette for me, as far as I'm concerned, as the musician hat goes. There's touring and there's studio. What do you have to say about the two different types of etiquette? And I know you just came off several world tours with the band The Script. And you even relocated for a while over to London, and you worked with them very closely in Dublin. So etiquette in that response, what if you had to...
It's a great question, because a lot of people fail to realize there are really two different courses to take. When you're touring, it's more about personal attitude. It's more about, are you cool, right? Can you get on with the program no matter what your position is? The only one who gets away with all the shit is the artist. And if you're not the artist, then you need to figure out how you get on with not only the artist, management, production,
You better be pliable.
So it has nothing to do about your talent.
Zero to do with your talent. Zero. 100%.
And if you think it does,
attitude.
If you think it does, then you ain't gonna be there very long.
Then you're mistaken. Yeah.
Absolutely mistaken.
Yeah.
Now, that's touring. Now you do have to know your craft. You do, no one's on a tour of that level without knowing their craft. You're on that tour of that level because you have the right personality and attitude. You understand the game and understand the art of that particular one. And in the last tour I did, it was really, different artists like to do different things. So you have to fit in with how the artist wants to be presented. Where with The Script, they like their songs like they're recorded. And so you play it that way.
So you're reproducing the record every night on stage.
Correct. There's some added elements, but I would say the core of the song has to be in place first. Unlike in America, you can go to Bruno Mars show and you'll see him rearrange everything. Right? You can hear the song, but there's all added breaks. There could be different order of the arrangement. There's a different approach.
Instrumentation sometimes.
Yeah, and then so you have to know. You can't, I can't go to them and say, no, man, we got to do this, we got to do it. No, that's how they like to do it. You have to get on with the program, and if you want to go work with someone like Bruno who likes to change it up, you can't be the guy that goes, no, man, we got to play it the same all the time. You know what I'm saying? Got to learn how to get on with the program.
Okay.
In the studio, you are there to facilitate someone else's vision, right? So the etiquette there is you are a vessel for someone else's ideas, unless you are the artist, right? Again, we're talking about a career musician, not a career artist.
Yes, so
career musician.
Then there is a differentiation. Yes,
you are hiring me to come in to facilitate your idea. Now, it's great to have new ideas. It's great to hear things and be able to offer them up, but you can't get offended when someone tells you, "Nah, I don't like that. Play it like this." And if you say, I am playing it like that, and they go, well, it ain't like this.
It's not sounding like that. Guess what?
It is not right to argue with the person. You're going to be gone.
Literally.
Just figure out what they want. Your job is to facilitate their vision. If you're the bass player, and they want you to play just whole notes, play just whole notes.
Footballs, as I said.
That's it.
Or diamonds.
Yeah. Who are you to come in and tell the person how they're supposed to do it? A very good friend of mine, who I use all the time in the drum world, let's put it there, will always tell me, it's not traditional.
He feels like it's his duty to tell you that, right?
Yeah. And he's my brother. I love him. But I tell him,
like, bro,
that's why I want it different. I don't want traditional. If I wanted traditional, I already know traditional. I would have told you, play traditional. You are a vessel.
That's right.
And your job is to really get into their mind and figure out, okay, how can I best? And if I have something that, are they open to new ideas? That's another thing. Not everyone's open to new ideas.
And you have to know how to read that on the person.
Correct.
You can't fuck that up. You misread that, that could be a fatal move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can talk too soon. You know, you just got to know when the right time is, if at all. But yeah, that the etiquette is important. Obviously, the touring world. And
yes. Thank you. Thank you. I definitely like to shed light on that.
A lot of people ask me, so how do you get involved with writing music for TV and film? Well, it's a journey just like any other in this business. Rodney has accomplished quite a bit as a Golden Globe Award winner for the Best Drama Series with the theme song, the main title of The Shield, but he also was the composer for the theme song Thief, which is another show on the FX network. Additionally, he was the main title co-producer for the CBS series Now and Again, and he was the main title producer for the Latin version of the Ellen theme. So once again, my point is versatility is king. Take it from somebody with a resume like Rodney.
You're listening to the Career Musician Podcast.
We're wrapping up here, man. We covered so much in this interview. You really covered a lot of my last few points here, but the other segment, the other side of the coin was the business. And me, I'm a stickler for business interaction, business acumen on your own. You know, I believe it's your responsibility to do your due diligence and find out, you know, just like when you're graduating from high school and you might be entering college or the workforce, you have to learn how to, you know, get a bank account and balance your checkbook. Of course, now balancing your checkbook is a hell of a lot easier than it was when we grew up, because we did it by hand with a ledger, a pen and a ledger. Nowadays, it's all digital. But, you know, so it could be something as little as, you know, budgeting, or something as big as, you know, dealing with accountants. I know you and I have talked quite a bit about the IRS and taxes, because we've both had our, you know, ideas or things that we have to deal with, scheduling, planning, negotiating. You know, if you could just say a few little things on business acumen. Yeah,
this is the wild, wild west. This is why negotiation skills and understanding the position. He who has the gold makes the rule. That's the golden rule, right? So if you're trying to work for a label, this is what I said earlier today, you're gonna get jacked. You're trying to work for a label, and they know you're low man on the pole. You just got in line, so to speak. Yeah, they might give you enough to survive. Yeah, you might be worth more. Yeah, you might supposed to earn more. But how you going to get it? Because what they're going to tell you is take the deal or leave it. It's the wild, wild west. So you have to, how you get your gold to be able to make some rules is you get in line, you get those small bits, add up those credits, add up those credits, add up those credits, right? And as you build those credits in that background, now you can start requesting more. Then you get to demanding more, right? So the business part of it is know the lane you're in. Know the progress you're making. In the meantime, pick up all the skills you can. The sales skills, the negotiation skills, you know, the politically, you know, how to politic well skills. You know, how to network skills.
How about the person who says, oh, no, I'm an awkward, introverted type?
Well, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm a total introvert.
You still got to know how to network. And, right?
You got to know when to turn it on, turn it off, and know when you can have it turn it off, you know? Find a good attorney, great attorney. My attorney is not in L.A. I did that for a reason. My accountants are not in L.A. Did that for a reason. You got to know you got to know incorporate. Should you incorporate? Should you not incorporate? We've had these conversations.
Yes, we have. That was one of the things I picked your brain about.
Yeah. Wow. How do you run a business that's going to benefit you the most to be able to do what you say you love to do, right? So, on that business game, you know, there's a lot to be gained by putting your ducks in a row. That way, when you are waiting for that opportunity to come, and when it does come, you can maximize that return. Right, so one of my first gigs was, I was in corp. I was lucky, hit record, made a fair amount of money, and noticed how it was gone in taxes. Learned the whole corporation thing quick.
Yes.
Too late to get back what I already spent or I already paid, but the next go round, I set myself up to go, you know what, if that ever happens again, I'm sorry, I'm all about paying my taxes, but if there's a lot of business expenses I wasn't allowed to take because I wasn't set up properly. I wasn't properly prepared. I was all about the art.
LLC,
no.
Right.
So I set up that S Corp, got in business. So now when the next big opportunities came, and they did come, thank God, and it was all business. Right? So I could really maximize, the fruit of my labor to keep me in those lean times, for one, like my publishing, writer royalties, funneling them the right way so that I can use them as a business income and not a personal income.
Correct.
And then again, learning those skills to be able to talk to people, know what they want, know the business so well that when a label calls me and says, look, I'm not going to force a negotiation knowing what the rates are, right?
Right.
Now, if someone offered me more than what the going rate is, I ain't going to argue either. Right?
Not.
And if it's less than what the going rate is, then I have to figure out, is there other value in this? Because this can't be all about money, right? We need money to survive. I totally get that. But there's an exposure opportunity. There's a connection opportunity. I don't know how many damn demos I did for Capitol Records and never got, production out of the particular staff that was there at the time when Capitol Records was there on Vine.
But you were planting seeds, as you say.
Someone else came in
and heard something,
and that led to other opportunities.
There you go.
Right? So I made nothing for a while from them, and then all of a sudden I made a fair amount from them. So I always just looked at it as more no just means that yes is coming. Because there's only so many no's. Like 10,000 hours you got to put in. There's only so many no's going to happen till that yes comes.
Right? You get 999 no's. The 1,000th is a yes.
Change your life. So the whole business thing is be prepared. Don't force something that's not necessary. If you know the union rate is whatever it is and they're being fair, why are you arguing for twice as much?
Yeah, you just can't do that.
Because all you've done is ruin your reputation.
Oh, that guy's good, but he's trying to overcharge, man. I don't want to deal with that.
Don't want to deal with it.
Outpriced yourself.
It's already hard enough as it is than to be. And yeah, plenty of times I've done gigs where I knew the other guy got maybe a little bit more, but I said, you know what, karma. It all comes back around. That's why I say it can't all be about money.
That's right.
There are other aspects to it that the give and the take, and then the music world massages it, and then there you are doing something amazing. Where'd that come from? Well, because you weren't a dickhead. And they're probably making up for something you got a little less on. And then there's times I know I got more than I should have.
And how many times have we had those conversations with managers or whomever in that realm? Say, listen, man, this one you have to do me a favor, but I promise next time around I'll make it up to you. And 9 times out of 10 they do.
Yeah, typically a legit guy will.
Absolutely,
100%.
A good person with good faith and wants to do that.
And there's business you do with people where you may not charge your full rate because it is what it is. I know you gave me a great rate. I know I've underpaid you for the gig we did together.
But I didn't want to miss that opportunity. That was a blast.
We had a great time.
Such a good time, first of all.
Yeah.
But it's always about the hang, right?
Yeah.
Because again, we are chasing the muse.
Correct.
And if you're going to chase the muse together, you might as well enjoy your company.
Absolutely. And if greater things come of it, there's things in the works to make that up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So in the end, and I'm glad I say it on record because that is true, but in the end, it can't always be about money. That's whether you're charging or whether like someone's hiring me and I want a certain amount, or I'm working with other people. I want to pay people well because I've been in the boat where I haven't, right? But if I can't pay, I will ask you, can you do this? And if you can't, I'm not going to be offended. Everyone has their limits, so it's on both sides of the business. You have to be willing to give and take, and I think that's been part of my goal as well. Started out when I was a teenager. And I've been in this business till now I'm 49. So full-time as a musician, right? It's been able to work that maze out. When it was the time to go left, when it was time to go right. Understand my position with a label especially. Because they're always going to try to squeeze you for the dollar, right? But if I know what my going rate is, I know what the going rate is, I'm not going to argue them over, well, give me more. Fuck it, just give me the deal.
When you know it's not going to happen, especially.
The first TV deal I did, the one we mentioned earlier, I had no clue about what was involved.
I meant to ask you about that.
Yeah. Real quick, how that happened.
Please.
I got a phone call. Hey, would you like to go to a screening of a TV show? Okay, sure. What happens? Oh, you see the show, and then they kind of just tell you a brief about it, and that's it. But you're only going as a friend because, they're going to have other people there, and I don't want to go by myself.
Oh, so you're just a friend. It was literally a friendly
I wasn't being
call.
invited even to submit anything.
Just a friendly...
Yeah. And since I'd never had that experience, I wanted to know what that was like for what? The next time.
Amen to that.
Investing. So we went to the thing in Santa Monica. We sat there, watched the pilot, and it was pretty hardcore. The Shield was pretty hardcore for how it came about. What they were showing, and it was a cutting edge at the time. So I saw the guy gave the brief to the other composers and producers in the room. So I left there, and I told my friend, wow, I have an idea. I can't let it go. I have an idea. Like, we left the building, and I had a phrase that came into my mind from the TV show, right? And it was the phrase was just another day, because the cops looked like all this murder and all this bullshit they were going through. It was just like another day.
Just another day at work.
Yeah, and there was no real emotion into it, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, no, we weren't invited to invite, but doing it, let's just fucking be ballsy and let's just do it. What's it gonna hurt?" Drove home. That was on a Friday. Over the weekend, I produced up a little 30-second clip, right? And figured out the hook, what it was going to be. I called my friend over and said, let's get a couple more lyrics in here to help, because they invited me, and I wanted to be bring them in on it.
You have to.
And
absolutely.
so we said, boom, let's send it out, right? Now, a couple months later, get a phone call, y'all got the gig.
So nothing for a couple months. You hear nothing.
Nothing.
And that's testament to the fact that oftentimes you have to create, submit, and forget.
Yep. That's it.
Because if you did not forget for those 8 weeks, you would have been
Killed
sick.
And plus, I knew I was none the wiser. I'd never
Right.
done this before. It was just try it, right? Because I had nothing to lose. I already figured it out by the time I drove home. So I just laid it down over the weekend, brought her in, added extra lyrics, and we turned it in.
So they didn't even call back with revisions or recalls or edits. They
They got it.
They said, you got the gig.
I just got a call and says, you got the gig, now we have some revisions. And I was like, well, what does this mean? So I didn't know. I called my attorney.
Wow.
I said, what does this mean? Like, how much am I supposed to charge? I don't know what the fuck to do.
I don't know how this works, yeah.
So in the end, they told me what the terms are going to be.
Right, of course.
And being none the wiser, I'm fuck it, okay,
sure,
whatever,
yeah,
I'm in. Because why? That one credit was worth more than any money they could have paid me, and I'll tell you why. That show hit.
It did.
That show hit, but from that, I got to pitch so many more shows.
Wow.
And from that, I got 2 other shows. One on primetime that didn't last too long, and another one on effects that was automatic. Like, I got called and says, look, we know you can do this. So there's other people submitting, and the guy there was cool. He said, look, I just want you to send me something. And I was in New York at the time doing something else. And so I said, all right, well, I don't get home till like a couple of days. He goes, cool, we got a little bit of time. Went home, knocked out that new theme, sent it over. And again, didn't hear anything. He just wanted me to pitch.
Okay.
But it landed me. Now on that gig, I got paid more than the Shield, I got paid a buttload of money for that main theme.
Can we ask what show that was?
It was called Thief with Andre Brower.
Okay.
It opened the door. That one show opened the door to everything. So me being none the wiser, I learned quickly after that, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
So, and even on the next go round, they told me this is what the budget's going to be.
This is what the terms are.
This is what the terms are. And it was fair at the time. So I was like, okay. Again, I'm not going to argue. I did negotiate a couple of things, but not, I want double because I have a hit show.
Hard.
No, absolutely. Because I always figured the first time, you're lucky. The second time, you're good. And the third time, you're made.
I like that.
Right?
Lucky, good, made.
And that way, when you reach made, then you're getting calls to get stuff done, and you don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to solicit yourself anymore.
And not only that, you're not taking the hit so much either. You have proper credit. Now, good could mean 3 major credits. It could mean 1 major credit, depending on how, which show you land. Now, I was landing shows on FX and Fox. So those were adding up. Amen. So that hit I took at the beginning, right? What ended up paying residuals for years and still does. That little didn't know anything, none the wiser, didn't need to argue it, just took the gig to take it, ended up opening all these other opportunities where I got a placement on this show and a placement on that show, underscored that show, this show, that show. Did the Spanish theme to Ellen.
Wow.
I got called to do the translation of her English theme, put it in Spanish, so she could run it on various Latin holidays. Right?
Beautiful. This leads me to this point, when to say no thank you. Because you said yes, thank you to all of these opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you for the call. When is the rare time when you feel like you have to say no?
The rare time to say no. Oh, that's hard.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
It's hard. It's hard.
It's more of a gut instinct than anything visceral. Would you agree?
Yeah, because it's not going... First of all, I know my limitations. That's the first thing. So if I know something is outside of my ability to help someone else and execute it great, I'll find the next guy who can. Right?
And maybe even refer them.
Absolutely. Right? Hook them up, because that'll come back to me
That'll
another
come back.
way.
I always say that.
Right? So
yes, if you can
know my limitations. Right? But if it's within my abilities to perform at the top of the game with whomever I'm working with, it comes down to what you said, just a gut feeling. Mm-hmm. And it really comes down to are they stand up? Because I'm going to try my best. Right? And it comes back to me dedicating this time. It's not that I'm doing something for you for money. I'm donating my time. I'm dedicating my time, which you don't get back, right? For something that you're going to do. And if you're going to mistreat me, then I don't want to deal with that. That's when I say no. If I have that feeling that this doesn't feel right, it doesn't sound right, the business doesn't sound right, so it's all right, fella.
At the end of the day, everything is a relationship.
Yeah. Now how you let them down, because you never know again. Right?
Yeah, what's your trick?
I'll price myself. If I know it's worth X, I might charge double the amount. Right? And that way, at least, why am I giving away my secret? If they're that serious, they'll pay it. And then I demand they pay half, and then whatever.
And then you won't get burned, at least.
Then at least I won't get burned.
It's a shore guard,
right,
for your own.
That's one way to do it, and that way it doesn't sound like I'm really blowing them off. They might just go, you just kind of outpriced yourself, and there's another cat who'll do it. Oh, great, cool, man. We'll tell you what, call me on the next one.
Yeah, thank you for calling me. I always say thank you for the call, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Keep the door open.
Please keep me in mind for the future.
Because that cat may get it together.
Right.
You never know. You never know, and there's been artists that have done that. All of a sudden, I'm just like, They figured it out somehow, some way, and then you've kept that door open, and you've been able to reconnect with them. So even in a yes, if you agree to do something, do it to the best of your ability, get it done, move on. If you don't like the situation, you don't have to work with the person again, but don't start all the badness, because it'll get around. And if you do have an issue with somebody, try to straighten it out. And if you're in the wrong, accept you're in the wrong. I've been in that position before.
Communication is huge.
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of the times, because I always say that as the creative types we are, emotions are flaring, right? And it's always hard for us to detach from those emotions and actually communicate. You have to communicate.
Yeah. You have to communicate. And misunderstandings are going to happen.
Yes.
Everyone gets in a bad mood. Everyone's going through shit in their life. So there are things that can crisscross. Just find the time to figure it out. Even if it's just not to have a bad connection in the world.
You don't want the animosity, right?
No, it's not going to help bring the good things, So kind of smooth that all over, and you move on. Yeah,
That's it. Last question.
Sure.
Memorable moment or moments. You had a beautiful journey. You're still going to continue to have a beautiful journey. What are one or two memorable moments where you say, "Wow, this is really happening"? Or
I have a studio moment. And I have a live moment.
Oh, perfect.
Studio moment. I left college. I moved to San Francisco. Not the biggest music capital in the world. And I was doing stagehand work for about 2-3 weeks, looking for a job in the music industry.
That's called a hustle, baby.
Right.
So you're hustling while you're searching.
And I was doing stagehand work. Because I wanted to be around the music industry, so putting on shows, unloading trucks, setting them up, blah blah, getting dirty.
Wow, and that's humility too.
Yeah, and I was working a spotlight ended up working a spotlight for a private gig, a corporate gig, and the Temptations were performing. So I was sitting there, and again, this is late 90s or whatever, and I'm going, man, these guys have had a run. You know, I'm running the spotlight, right? Learn, again, being diverse. Learn how to figure out how to do shit, you know?
That's awesome.
Running the spotlight. There's a Temps performer going to myself, man, these guys have had a run. It would be amazing. I wonder if that's even possible in this day and age of music career. But just to write songs like that, and the way to produce songs the way they were doing, all that Motown stuff was running through my head, and the history that I'd learned of it, and here I am following on the fucking spotlight.
That's cool.
And then 2 weeks later, I'm in the studio producing their first platinum record.
What?
Yes, sir.
Bro, you never even told me that.
No? Oh. Yeah. So I'm running the spotlight.
So wait a minute. So you're taking cues from the LD, the lighting director for this show.
Yeah.
This corporate event.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, okay, so what happened in the 2 weeks?
What happened in the 2 weeks was there's a very known producer in the Bay Area called Narda Michael Walden.
Of course.
Big songwriter. Yep. Big hit maker in the late 80s and 90s.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had been sending stuff to him to try and get on with his camp as a writer, as a producer. So I'm sitting, hadn't heard much, nothing really, you know. So I'm running the spotlight.
And when you say send, you're talking the 90s, so you're sending it via mail.
A package,
Yeah.
correct.
You're getting a FedEx or a UPS package.
Correct. Yeah, with a cassette tape with my stuff.
Wow, yeah. It's a big difference than email or hitting them up on DM on Twitter.
So I'm sitting there running the light. After that's over, within those 2 weeks, I get a call out of the blue. I hear my friend who was in the Bay Area, that the one friend I had, said, I hear Narda was looking for another guy because he's about to have some major run of artists come into the studio to help with the songwriting and producing duties. And I'm like, click, got in my car, drove straight over to the studio.
Smart.
Knocked on the door.
So that was the impetus to get you over there in San Fran, in the Bay Area.
No, I just went to the Bay Area because I love the Bay Area.
Oh, see, that's even cooler.
So, went over there, knocked on the door. They obviously went during business hours, obviously let me in. I said, I just want to meet with Narda, and, you know, I have my tape, I've been sending music, blah, blah, blah. He said, and he saw me in the hallway. Hey, who are you? I tried to explain to him real quick. I have some music. And Narda, being the sweetheart he is, all right, well, let's listen to it. So we listened to it.
Right there on the spot.
Right there on the spot.
How cool is that?
Right? And he listened to it, and he goes, what's your story? So I'm explaining my story, what he's telling me. And he goes, okay, well, I'd like to try you out. This was a Friday. He gives me a cassette of 5 ideas. It says, take this home over the weekend and come back when you're ready with the production. Right? Now, at this time, again, this is where the experience of having been an artist, having worked on tech shit before, getting the cutting edge of all that stuff.
And
I
going
went
to
home,
Berkeley and studying all that stuff.
Went home, told my wife at the time, I'm going to knock these out. 5 of them. She goes, you ain't got time. I said, I'm going to knock them out. So that whole weekend,
you were hunkered down.
I was hunkered down. I said, I don't even make me anything to eat. I don't care. I ain't sleeping. Don't ask me to do nothing. This is what's going to happen, right? I went back on Tuesday, because he wasn't available Monday, so I went back on the Tuesday, and I gave him a cassette back. He goes, so which song did you do? I said, all of them. He said, you produced all the songs. There was 5 songs on there. I said, yeah, 5 songs. Produced them all. I said, they may not be finished, but I got them in some shape. You know, and they may not be right your way, but I try to get them in shape. So we listened to him, and he goes, that's amazing.
So he listened in front of you?
Yeah, he listened in front of me.
That's interesting, because most people don't like to listen in front of you, right?
Yeah, he told me what I did wrong. He wasn't afraid of it.
Oh, good.
I mean,
so he's direct. I love it.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, I like that idea. Oh, no, not that one.
Okay.
In the end, he says, well, the Temptations are coming next week. You want to help me with that? Mind you, what I did on that tape never got used. Never turned into anything.
It was just a test.
And then that's in the end. That's what I learned, right? And he said, yeah, they're going to be here. Why don't you come to, later this week, we'll do some writing, blah, blah, blah. We had one car. I lived clear across the bay. I used to be dropped off at the subway, get to the other side of the bay, take a bus, and then walk. Right?
That's what it takes.
And then that second week, the Temptations were there. And I was showing them the song ideas that we had written the following few days.
Wow.
That was a moment of going, not saying I made it, It wasn't saying like anything other than it was
that's-
nice to be there with. 2 weeks ago, I was running Spotlight at these people.
You could have had permission to say I've made it on that one.
You know?
No, did you divulge any of that, or no? You probably
No, I
kept
didn't
it
say
cool.
anything.
Yeah, smart
I
move
kept it
by
cool.
the way.
You know what I mean? And just
You can't fanboy
again,
out.
At least by this point, I learned when to talk.
That amen.
And my job,
Studio etiquette, baby. Keep the mouth shut, eyes and ears
and even
wide
though I was
open.
one of the writers.
Even still.
And arranging everything.
Because today you
producing
could be a
things.
writer and arranger. Tomorrow you could be back running the spotlight.
Absolutely. And I could have not excelled in that particular situation and been running that spotlight the following week, right? Sure. Luckily, it worked out. So from that gig, Narda brought me on full time.
Amazing.
So that was, to me, I always remember that moment. And not only that, it was Temptations' first platinum record. In all their career, I didn't even know they never had a platinum record.
I didn't know that either.
It was sold out. It was Narda had the first single on there. I helped I played some parts on that first single, but the other songs that I wrote with them are on that record. I have the plaque. That's the only plaque I have of all the other records I've been on. That's the only plaque I have because I was like the first one.
That's the one.
And the way it happened. You know, that's my studio moment.
That's incredible.
And so we did 3 songs on that album. I was with them 2 songs, but I worked on 3 songs of that album. And, really got to know the guys and work with them, as you do in the studio. Still keep maintaining that etiquette. So that's my studio moment. My live moment was most recent. Because I didn't participate in a lot of live stuff early on. I focused on writing and producing. That when I started touring with the script, we did a lot of great shows. Big shows. Festivals, 100,000 people.
Wow.
A lot of those things. It's just like, cool. This is great.
Glastonbury and all that. Was that?
Yeah, all that shit.
Which
Rock Vector, Tea in the Park, Isle of Wight Festival. I mean, we're talking mass humanity, right? And we're playing with other big names, Beyonce and Rihanna and the Muse and Kings of Leon. And, we're on stages they're right after us. Yeah, you know? So I'm going, yeah, that's cool. And all of it was cool until the one gig we did, which was a stadium gig in Dublin, where the guys are from. Now, mind you, I was with the guys when they first started, right? Because I knew them. Here's just a network lesson. From 10 years earlier before that, I'd worked on them when they were like a boy band. And I worked on them on a record for that record. And we maintained friendship. So when it was time when they were starting the script, I was involved in those early days. So to see them go from, having a somewhat of a career to nothing, and then back at another opportunity and being a part of it, I was already had some affinity for it. But yeah, they made it. They done some cool things. I was on tour. We're world touring. Great shows. But this one show in Dublin in 2015, it's all over YouTube. You'll find it, is sold out. 84,000 people.
84.
Right? And
wow.
That's when I was like, all right, that is the moment. And I remember that show. I could tell you every single note I played on that show because it was just it was like suspended animation. I mean, here we are in a stadium-size venue, stadium-size set. We worked on our set. We, got the set list right. We, there's so many issues to deal with that I thought you just walk up and play, but you don't.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
And it was just a magical moment. And it was just... That's it. I don't know what else to tell you. It was just magical. As a band, we played incredibly well, and it was like we finished with 1 minute left to spare.
Wow, right? Because you're on strict time.
Yeah. The sound curfews and everything.
Curfews,
we finished with one minute left.
Penalties and fees and
which was awesome. I mean, it was because we had a great time. It was a great gig. It was just one of those magical gigs, and the people there, and just. The whole weekend of it was just... my kids were there. My family flew over to see it, Wow. I played violin.
You did?
Yeah. Played electric violin and played a fiddle part from a Irish thing we did. So I was like the culmination of everything. Yeah. Happened in that moment. So that's my live moment.
And yet another Career Musician podcast episode comes to a close. Thank you so much, Mr. Rodney Alejandro, for being my guest. Rodney and I go way back. We worked with Andy Vargas, who is the lead singer from the Santana Band. And man, we had some good times.
If you get a chance, check out RodneyAlejandro.com, a cool little tidbit from his story. Although successful in my career, the desire to broaden my horizons, further my musical studies, and attain a college education became goals I sought to achieve. Using a royalty check, wait a minute, folks, he said a royalty check, and selling his car, he paid to attend one semester at Berklee College of Music, and the rest is history. So there you have it. My point exactly. He used a royalty check. Remember, it's all about IP, intellectual property. It's about what we write. We can copyright it. Then it becomes published, and then we receive royalties. The Career Musician signing off for yet another episode.
Thank you for tuning in to The Career Musician. Please click the subscribe button and share the Career Musician podcast on your social media feeds.
I'm just a nomad, nowhere man, writing the songs in this one-man band. A nomad, yeah, I'm a nomad. So hush now, darling, you'll be fine. I'll be back this way sometime. Until then, baby, don't you cry, 'cause I'll be gone. Nomad here, host and creator of the Career Musician podcast, wanting to tell you all about PantheonPodcast.com network. I am a part of this collective that is solely music-based podcasts. And guess what? It is the only one of its kind on the globe so far. It is a collective of an independent network of podcasts, all based on music, which dig into the culture, technology, history, and everything else you can imagine that has to do with music. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to check us out at PantheonPodcasts.com.